there are kind of things in Laurel and Hardy films that are remarkably subtle, you know, and they kind of understood screen technique, I think, very, very quickly.
There's an innocence about the way they work that is more and more appealing when you've been through all the undergrowth of other comedians and comedy and people trying harder and harder for effect and trying to do something, over-trying hard to do something different. And then you see Laurel and Hardy and it's like a masterclass because they take you back to basics.
Laurel and Hardy gradually developed a style that depended on doing things quietly, almost restfully, and that, I think, is part of the clue to their success, in that during those reaction times they became simply more human.
Effectively, they were kind of children in adult bodies, and that was always appealing. Everyone has been a child, so everyone could relate to that aspect of them.
For childlike characters, they can be very, very adult, very assertive, even if they don't take their revenge in quite an adult manner.
Depois do intervalo, você vai ver que o sucesso dos filmes do Gordo e do Magro aumenta depois do fim do cinema mudo. E veja ainda os casamentos dos reis da comédia. Nos 2 anos seguintes, Stan e Ollie se estabeleceram como astros, fazendo 21 filmes mudos juntos. Longe das câmeras, o sucesso lhes permitiu um estilo de vida hollywoodiano. Depois de despachar May, Stan conheceu e se casou com a atriz Louie Nelson em 1926. Ollie, por sua vez, se casou com outra atriz, Myrtle Reeves.
The thing was that it's very difficult, I'm sure, to marry somebody who's entirely wrapped up in their work. And I think that the main thing to know about both Stan and Oliver Hardy is they were craft actors. Essentially, the one thing that interested them in life was to act. It was to exercise their craft. They were not in it for the money.
Em 1929, uma nova invenção mudaria Hollywood para sempre. Os filmes falados anunciavam uma nova era para o cinema e marcavam o fim das carreiras de muitos astros do cinema mudo. Mas para Stan e Ollie, o som somou uma nova dimensão aos personagens deles.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, we present for your entertainment and approval, Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, what's the matter? Did you swallow something? I'm a sick man, an awful sick man. Oh, sounds funny to me. You were all right a minute ago. You see, I know I was. It hit me all of a sudden, knocked me right into a heap.
They were able to make the transition easily because they were just more than comedians who fell down and dropped their pants and that sort of thing. They were much more than that. There was a sort of agenda, a kind of emotional agenda under their work, which was striking and which could flourish in sound as well as silently.
Com o advento do som, Ollie pôde mostrar sua belíssima voz.
Up in the sky, I ain't had no loving since January, April, June or July. No time, ta'ain't no time to stay outdoors and spoon. Shine on, harvest moon for me and my gal.
I think one of the great things about Laurel and Hardy is that their performances span the silent films and the talkies. My favourite films are the ones where they talk, but where they've really got those elements of silent comedian about them.
With most of their films, I didn't care for the scripts all that much. I didn't think a lot of the lines were terribly funny. It was the expression on their faces that made them so. They were the epitome of comedians who could actually be funny without having very funny things to do or say.
Would you gentlemen please let me pass?
Why, certainly, ma'am. Why, just a moment.
In all their films, they're incredibly aspirant. You know, there's no film in which Laurel and Hardy, their aim is to do nothing and have an easy life. You know, they want to have an easy life, but go about it in the most complicated way.
The way they do slapstick is very contained, very clever, and very serious. You know, when they're shifting that piano, it's a real job which they're doing for them. They're not kind of showing off for the camera. This is something that they're doing for them. And when it runs away, it's a real problem. And as a kid, you're sitting there, oh no, what's going to happen?
O som também trouxe a música tema do Gordo e do Magro, a Cuckoo Song.
I made this little silly tune as a radio time signal to count the hours. And Stan Laurel came up and heard it and says, that tune's for me. That's just what I want. That little cuckoo part's just what I like. See there? So he says, I'd like to use that for my theme. I says, well, swell. So then I showed him how it was put together. This represents Stan Laurel. It's supposed to be cuckoo. Same thing over. Not very bright. He's dull. He's stupid, see? That's what that means, stupid. And the big one, Babe, is very dominating, see? Arrogant. He's the boss. Like a bugle call in the army, see? So we put them together.
Com 8 novos filmes somente em 1930, Stan sentia-se sob pressão constante para criar tramas e cacos cada vez mais criativos. Apesar de nos filmes o personagem de Ollie ser o mais dominante, nos bastidores Stan era quem mandava. Stan dirigia filmes para Roach desde o começo dos anos 20. Com a chegada do som, ele somou a confecção de roteiros a seus deveres extras oficiais de diretor, coreógrafo e editor.
That is quite a drastic contrast with this little crying innocent you see on the screen. He was the absolute brains behind devising and writing stuff and doing it all. This little innocent simpleton.
By the time of the Laurel and Hardy partnership, Oliver Hardy was entirely content to abdicate responsibility to Stan Laurel when it came to who did the directing, who suggested the gags, who handled the business, who made the public announcements. He would leave it to Stan because he had total confidence in him as comic, director, actor, businessman.
Para Stan, todo esse trabalho deixava pouco tempo para a socialização.
I would say Stan was a workaholic. He didn't go to Hollywood parties, although he was certainly invited. He tended to enjoy the company of a few close friends in the business. Socially, he was not interested in parties.
Ollie, por outro lado, gostava da liberdade que o sucesso lhe proporcionava.
In private life, their interests were not the same at all. Oliver Hardy was the man for the country club. He became a prize-winning golfer. one of the best in Hollywood. Every year he would win the Hal Roach Studios golf tournament, to the point where there was hardly any point in staging it. They knew who would win.
Stan, sempre o profissional, usava fraqueza de Ollie pelo golfe para conseguir atuações melhores dele em frente às câmeras.
A wonderful part of the comedy process that they have is Hardy looking terribly frustrated at the camera. What Stan did was to hold off the shooting of those shots until about 20 minutes to 3 each day, knowing that by that time they would really be skewing and wanting to get out on the golf course, and consequently many of those frustrated camera looks, those angry comic reactions were for real.
I don't mind at all that he couldn't think of a gag, that he could hardly find his way to the studio, and he would much prefer to play golf than rehearse for a film. I don't mind that at all. He was a man who, I think, Stan would have been very little without him. And I love Stan dearly, but I won't have people saying that Stan was the man behind it all, and that without Stan, Hardy would have been nothing. Hardy was technically one of the greatest comedians I've ever seen on the screen.
Em 1932, Stan e Ollie eram os reis da comédia, lançando filmes cada vez mais populares para um público global. Hal Roach criou uma maneira simples de expandir a audiência internacional da dupla, regravando cada filme cena por cena em vários idiomas diferentes, com Stan e Ollie lendo suas falas foneticamente a partir de cartazes.
Una carta? Que classe de carta? Registrada? Quem la manda? Creí que ya no querías que te hablase más.
They would have a dialogue coach who would recite the lines, and Stan and Babe would, on a blackboard, make their version of it, and giving the Spanish or Italian, whatever it is, in their own tones.
¿Cómo? Sí y no. Es y no es. Es y no es. Ajá. Y Me estás poniendo nervioso. A ver esa carta. No.
Apesar do sucesso internacional de seus filmes, Stan e Ollie não sabiam até que ponto eram famosos no estrangeiro. Em 1932, quando Stan decidiu levar Ollie com ele para visitar a família na Grã-Bretanha, eles estavam completamente despreparados para a recepção que os aguardava. Acabaram transformando as férias em uma turnê teatral.
There were the most amazing scenes that I only can compare with later years with rock concerts in the early days of the Beatles. The brig at the street in Leeds was packed outside. There was a queue around the block. A lot of people didn't get in. And it was just astonishing.
Oh my God! The audience used to go potty. They're waiting for him, and as Ollie and Stan came on stage, it was, hey! You know, really meet them because they were loved.
Quando voltaram para os estúdios Roach, a indústria do cinema passava por outra mudança de direção, com os médias-metragens substituindo os curtas nos teatros.
What are you gonna do about it? What am I gonna do about it? Do that again.
The reason that Hal Roach wanted a change was simply a matter of marketing. He saw that short subjects were on the way out, and the real future in cinema going was going to be in the double feature. So he wanted his comedians in feature-length films or nothing.